Hey, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time, we're on the wild and western fringe of Europe. It's the land of mighty waterfalls, the midnight sun, and volcanoes. It's Iceland. Thanks for joining us. We're exploring Iceland's highlights for a short visit. Its capital city, Reykjavík, and the unforgettable day trip deep into Iceland's majestic nature. It's called the Golden Circle.
Reykjavík feels laid back and easygoing. It's chill in more ways than one, with a landmark church, a scrappy history, and a determined cultural life. We'll soak with the locals in a neighborhood thermal pool. Then, venturing into Iceland's dramatic interior, driving the famous Golden Circle, we'll see the gorge where Europe meets America. Thrill under the original geyser, and feel the spray of a thunderous waterfall. Iceland, the size of Virginia with less than 500,000 residents, sits in the North Atlantic, just below the Arctic Circle. From Reykjavík, the northernmost capital on Earth, we'll loop inland on the scenic Golden Circle. Reykjavík, by far the biggest city in the country, is still small. It's about the size of Berkeley or Fargo. With a hardscrabble heritage and a vibrant culture, today it offers a tourist-friendly mix of old and new. While short on world-class sights, Reykjavík certainly has an urban vitality, with plenty of restaurants and shopping to keep visitors entertained. It's unexpectedly cosmopolitan, with an artistic, bohemian flair. And it's blustery. Iceland can be cold, even in summer. This is a typical day in July. And so is this. If you don't like the weather, just wait a few minutes. Reykjavík's neighborhoods are enlivened by street art. A blank wall will just get tagged with graffiti anyway, so instead, homeowners hire talented street artists to create colorful murals. It seems every street leads to Hallgrím's Church, crowning a hill in the town center. Designed by Iceland's state architect in the 1930s, the church represents the national style. Stark and utilitarian, yet beautiful, it evokes the island's volcanic landscape. Stair-stepped gables echo Iceland's basalt cliffs. The interior is Lutheran, serene, and austere. The glass is clear, not stained, and the altar is a simple table. An elevator whisks visitors to the top of the tower for panoramic views over all of Reykjavík. 2 out of every 3 Icelanders lives within sight of this steeple. In front of the church stands a statue of Leif Erikson. Born here in Iceland, this Viking explorer is believed to be the first European to set foot in the Americas, about 5 centuries before Christopher Columbus. The modern sculpture, called the Sea Voyager, is an homage to those Scandinavian adventurers who, beginning in the 9th century, loaded up their ships, set sail into an uncharted ocean, and brought civilization to this uninhabited island. Iceland, so harsh and desolate, steaming with volcanoes, was settled over 1,000 years ago by early Norse farmers. Imagine the original Icelanders, hardy folk, eking out a living on remote farms, living in isolation. They chronicled their lives in the sagas, a blending of historical records, tall tales, and legends. From the age of the Vikings, the country grew slowly. By the mid-1700s, all of Iceland still only had about 50,000 people, and Reykjavík was just a big farm. As trade, mostly fishing, increased, and towns began to form, Reykjavík emerged as the capital city. The National Museum collects artifacts from these early days of Iceland. A society made of wood doesn't leave much behind. But a few exquisite items, like these ornamental horns and these whalebone carvings, survive. Pagan Iceland converted to Christianity in about the year 1000. Until relatively modern times, Icelandic settlers lived in rustic cottages. Existence may have been bleak, but families were tight-knit. Many Icelanders lived simple lives, much like this, until the early 20th century. Life was tied to the sea. Icelanders sailed in open boats, fished for cod, and hunted shark for their valuable liver oil. More and more, symbols like an official national costume and its own flag demonstrated a growing sense of national identity. Iceland remained part of Denmark through the 1800s. Iceland-born politician Jan Sigurdsson lobbied in Copenhagen for independence, which Denmark finally granted in 1918. Iceland's parliament, called the Althing, may seem humble, but it represents a 1,000-year journey in this society from rustic farmsteads to today's modern democratic nation. For locals, Parliament Square remains a place to make your voice heard or to just hang out. Reykjavík still has a hard-working harbor, busy with both industrial vessels and sightseeing boats. And in just the last generation, boldly modern condos and office towers show how today's Iceland is charging into the future. And a fine example of that is the super modern concert hall called Harpa. In the lobby, the sky reflects like you're inside a giant honeycombed prism. This extravagant use of space and glass put Iceland on the world's architectural map when it opened in 2011. Welcoming the public, a hit with locals and tourists, and busy with conferences and concerts, Harpa is the hub of the country's cultural and community activity. This island is proud of its homegrown artists, especially the sculptor Einar Jónsson, who in the early 1900s was inspired by Rodin. A welcoming sculpture garden is filled with his bronze works. Inside the Einar Jónsson Museum are the plaster originals. Jonsson's works are intense and emotive. You'll see Viking warriors, bold explorers, protective women, and lots of drama. He blended elements of Christianity, Old Norse legend, Greek mythology, and his own belief that every person contains at least a kernel of goodness. A visit here reminds us that even small countries produce talented artists like Jónsson, worth getting to know. For a peek at the city's everyday charms and more insight into the culture, I'm joined by local tour guide Saga Friedrichsdottir, a Reykjavík native who loves showing off her hometown. Saga, I love Iceland, but this language is impossible for me.
Yeah.
How can any tourist remember that?
Oh, well, I mean, Skólavörðustígur.
Skólavörðustígur.
Yeah, that's pretty hard, but we all speak English as well.
Thank goodness. The street makes me happy.
Very happy, very colorful, dedicated to gay pride, but also a reminder that Iceland is much for just equality and human rights. And this is always Rainbow Street.
Nice.
Yes.
So in the summer, days are very long, but in the winter, what is it like in the winter?
Well, cold and very, very dark. But we have these beautiful, colorful houses that really characterizes Reykjavík. They brighten up our days in winter. And also you notice we have a lot of corrugated iron that clothes these wooden houses, which was revolutionary material because it protected the houses from this crazy Icelandic weather.
I'm sure historically, this is a society that has dealt with hardships.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. But we have strong mentality, and there's actually a saying in Icelandic, "Þetta reddast."
It's þetta reddast.
Þetta reddast, and it basically just means it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. It's gonna work out.
On weekends, the downtown flea market is a characteristic and mostly local shopping scene.
This is really a fun place.
And don't miss those famous Icelandic sweaters.
I don't do a lot of shopping, but when it comes to the Nordic countries, I like a sweater. Oh, that's beautiful. So Saga, really feels like good wool.
I mean, we consider it to be the best wool in the world.
This is like Icelandic sheep.
Proper Icelandic sheep wool, yes.
Yeah. And what is it special? Because it feels a little special.
Well, I guess because they've been roaming freely in Iceland since 874. They know how to deal with rough Icelandic weather, and they give us the perfect clothing for that.
Oh, yeah. Do you think it's good?
Yes. Very good.
I like it because it has history, you know? It's
Good. You see them.
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
You look like a local.
I feel like a local. I can speak Icelandic.
Yes.
The flea market is also a place you can sample some unique tastes. As the early Icelanders settled this untamed island, they resorted to many hardship foods.
So when we come to Iceland, everybody has to try the shark.
They have to try the shark, definitely. I mean, this is the famous Greenland shark.
This is shark,
Yes.
fermented shark.
Fermented shark, yeah, because if you would eat the shark straight away, you know, when it's fresh, you would die, unfortunately.
You would die.
Yes, it is toxic in
So how did
Iceland.
you ferment this?
So you chop it in pieces, you bury it in the ground for some time, and then hang it up, and you get rid of the ammonia, or like the urine, basically, which is the toxins. And I always think, like, how many tries did it take to figure out this method of, like, not getting killed by eating the shark?
That just stokes my appetite.
Right?
Is it possible to try some?
You have to try it. There's some pieces here,
Oh, good. I'm
There
gonna
you
put
go.
this piece of shark down. There we go.
and this is usually how it comes, like in small pieces. So you're more than welcome to have a piece or two
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
fancy it. Give it a good chew.
Wow. No, that is
Yes.
very fishy right now.
Yes. Wait for the aftertaste.
Yeah. My goodness, now it's like it just got swept over with ammonia.
Right. And usually you're supposed to drink it with the Black Death schnapps.
Ah, some
Brennivin.
akvavit, some firewater.
Yes.
Oh,
Please have
baby,
some.
that is unforgettable.
Yeah.
Oh,
But now you tried the famous Icelandic shark.
the aftertaste, I just feel like I've been in a gas station or something.
1, 2, 3.
Iceland is a volcanic island. It's formed at the rift where the European and North American tectonic plates are pulling apart. That's why there's a chain of active volcanoes, hot springs, and steam vents like this, cutting right through the center of the country. Visitors come to Iceland hoping to see a volcanic eruption, but big dramatic eruptions that casual visitors can actually get up close to and see are very rare. But exploring this island does come with plenty of steamy serendipity. Like roadside attractions, bubbling mud holes gurgle with molten muck. Vents spew steam. And as the fog clears from your glasses, suddenly you're interested in geology. The entire island is shaped by lava from past eruptions. Dark, chunky lava rock blanketed by cushy moss covers much of Iceland's surface, giving the countryside a desolate, almost lunar feel. And the Icelanders have ingeniously harnessed their endless supply of green energy. geothermal plants in the middle of nowhere are hard at work, boring deep into the Earth's crust to tap into hot water. And pipelines carry that superheated water through miles of countryside to heat and power Reykjavík and other communities. Despite the chill, houses are toasty. In fact, you'll notice many small windows propped open. Because that geothermal heat is so cheap, people don't even bother turning down the radiator. They just crack the window. The most enjoyable use for Iceland's hot water is its thermal pools. And the most famous spa is 45 minutes outside Reykjavík, the Blue Lagoon. Years ago, a geothermal plant began dumping its hot, mineral-rich wastewater into this lava landscape. Locals discovered it was a great place to take a dip. Developers then transformed it into a high-end spa. Today, Iceland's top tourist attraction is close to the airport and a popular first or last stop for visitors. The Blue Lagoon is a lavish spa, but it's extremely touristy, and you sure won't meet many Icelanders here. But the good news, you have plenty of alternatives that are just as relaxing. The community thermal pools.
The Blue Lagoon is popular, but it's expensive. About 10 times the cost of a pool like this. You can luxuriate in the Blue Lagoon, or you can soak with the locals in a neighborhood pool. The choice is yours. Today, I'm soaking local.
Fed by natural thermal springs, the main pool is bathwater warm. Water slides, cascades, and kid zones keep locals entertained. This is where Icelanders meet up after work to connect with friends and family. I can't think of a better way to meet the locals. And for the ultimate in relaxation, 100-degree hot pots simmer nearby. Soaking together is a great equalizer. Student, truck driver, doctor, and tourist. Everybody's equal in the pool.
Iceland is all about the great outdoors. But if the weather's bad, as it often is, several indoor sites here in Reykjavík offer a taste of the majesty of Iceland without leaving the capital city.
At the edge of town is a one-stop way to experience this country's top natural wonders, at least virtually, under one roof, the Pearl. Exhibits feature fiery volcanoes with majestic footage that gives a sense of awe. Birds perched precariously on towering cliffs, and a 300-foot-long ice cave. It's a primer on Icelandic nature, especially worthwhile for those without the time or money to see the real thing. The most elusive natural thrill is the aurora borealis. In summer, when it's too late to see these northern lights, you can step into the planetarium to get a sense of this fabled phenomenon. But of course, there's nothing like experiencing the real thing. Remember, even if you come in the winter solely for the northern lights, there's no guarantees of seeing them. But if you do see those ethereal lights dancing in the sky, the experience will stay with you for the rest of your days. The weather's great, and from Reykjavík, we're making the classic 150-mile day trip loop, the Golden Circle. Within minutes, we're immersed in Iceland's iconic wide-open spaces and enjoying the dramatic scenery of this island's natural wonders.
Today we'll see gorges, waterfalls, geysers, and more, with epic views all along the way. By the way, most people do this as a day trip on a tour bus, but we're driving.
Our first stop is Thingvellir. This national park is important to Icelanders for two reasons. First, at this gorge, you can see the rift that marks that slow separation of tectonic plates. Walking along this fissure in the Earth's crust, travelers sense this meeting of two continents, America on the left, Europe on the right. And second, Thingvellir, which means assembly planes, was the site of the original Althing, an annual gathering of early settlers.
This is where the nation of Iceland was born. 1,000 years ago, chieftains from isolated farms all over the island traveled great distances to meet right here every summer and make important decisions. In an age when almost no one could read or write, each meeting began by reciting the memorized highlights from last year's gathering.
History aside, Thingvellir is inviting for a nature walk. In this evocative spot, waterfalls tumble and the river flows as geology does its slow-motion dance. Just up the road is a geological site actually called Geyser. This geothermal field, colorful and steamy with scalding water, is home to the original geyser, which means gusher in Icelandic. The site is otherworldly, as pools bubble and steam fills the air, all with a whiff of sulfur. But the big show is the central geyser. Tourists line up, cameras poised with anticipation, ready to capture the moment. They wait and wait and wait. Sometimes they wait so long, the weather actually improves. And then, suddenly, with a gurgling belch, the geyser explodes, rocketing skyward and thrilling the crowd. As you drive the Golden Circle, remember to slow down and enjoy the scenery. And it's not just about the famous natural sights. Along the way, you'll see slices of Iceland's unique agriculture. With its efficient greenhouses, even with the lack of good topsoil and its difficult weather, Iceland grows plenty of tasty vegetables. The climate is harsh for conventional farming, but its expertise in greenhouse technology and in putting geothermal energy to good use yields an abundant harvest. For lunch, we're stopping at a working farm. It's clear that frugal farmers here are tapping into the tourist boom. This family now serves hungry sightseers. The soup bar is a budget standby. It's all you can slurp, with fresh baked bread and a glass of water and a cup of coffee. You can finish with a farm-fresh dessert with a special twist. The cows actually watch the diners enjoying ice cream made from their very own milk. For generations, this family has raised horses. Horse lovers know that Iceland's local breed is special. Small and sturdy, these were first brought over by Vikings in the settlement age 1,000 years ago, chosen because they could fit inside the hold of a ship, yet they were strong enough to work hard once they arrived. Throughout the country, you'll see these wind-blown beauties. A long-established ban on importing other breeds means that today's Icelandic horses are purebred and unique. They also have a distinctive gait that thrills equestrians. The final stop on our Golden Circle loop is one of the most impressive waterfalls in a country famed for waterfalls, Gullfoss, the Golden Falls. The churning glacial river plummets into a narrow gorge. Up close, the cauldron comes with a deafening roar. And even from high above, visitors feel the spray, wonderstruck. Gullfoss is one of those places Iceland specializes in, where you feel the raw power of nature. It's the perfect climax to a Golden Circle day.
This remote island, with its mighty nature, tiny population, and gritty love of life, brings out the explorer in all of us. And I'm inspired by both its wild beauty and its people. I hope you've enjoyed our look at Iceland, its capital city, and its Golden Circle. Until next time, I'm Rick Steves. Keep on traveling.
Fær alveg góða auglýsingu.
Tell me a tongue twister in Icelandic.
Kirkjubæjarklaustur.
What is that?
It's a town.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. That's a little weird.
Until next time, I'm Rick Steves. Keep on traveling.